for the trial. What does that mean to you to get that support for what you're going through along with this trial and the other families?
It's incredibly important to be able to provide those mental health supports to the victims' families who are going through very real and gruesome realities. We're going through a court process right now, and I'm not gonna lie, going back in November with the pretrial, that was the hardest 2 weeks of my life to ever have to go through. I'm listening to what's being done to your mom and sitting in the same room as the guy who did it. It's not okay, and it's imperative for us to be able to be there to support families during this tough process and time, because when we are not there, it's those kinds of gaps and injustices that continue to fail our people, like my mother, for example. She didn't have mental health supports growing up, and that led her to being homeless and on the streets and losing her children to the child welfare system, the very same system that she fell victim to as a child. And so it's about finally stepping up to those statistics and saying, we're not going to take those statistics and numbers anymore, you're going to do something about it. And yeah.
Absolutely. I know a big fear with not searching the landfill is basically saying that the bodies of Indigenous and specifically First Nations women are not important or not valued by not searching. Does this recommitment and funding tell you otherwise?
Yeah. Yes, it does, for sure. And we will not allow anymore for our women to end up in landfills. We have done a lot of work. We have lobbied. We have gone coast to coast to coast to be able to ensure that our women from First Nations have a home to come home to, and that we speak for them, that we talk about them, and that we bring them home.
There is a lot more work to do going forward, even after this landfill search gets done, even after my mother gets brought home. You know, this is an ongoing issue that continues to affect the livelihood and well-being of Indigenous peoples each and every single day, not only across Turtle Island, but across the world. Minorities and Indigenous peoples are currently being discriminated against, no matter where you go in the world universally, and so it's imperative that we continue to make those steps in the future to not only address these ongoing crises, but to address the systematic failures that are currently going on in those jurisdictional gaps that continue to fail families during these processes each and every day. So, yeah, that's it.
I just wanted to thank the Premier for his commitment, as well as to the federal government for their commitment at this point in time, because those were the two levels of government that we had to ensure that we spoke to, and that they were able to speak to each other to ensure that this happened here in Manitoba. So I give them that, and I'm grateful for that today.
Well, thank you, Grand Chief Kathy Merrick and Cambria Harris, for talking with me today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Av. Grand Chief Merrick and Cambria Harris as well. You can find more on this over on our website, aptnnews.ca. Time for a quick break, but first, it's a success story you won't want to miss. An on-the-land healing camp in the Northwest Territories is celebrating milestones and is planning for the future. Our reporter Charlotte Moore-Jacobs brings us this sneak peek on what she's working on.
In the peace and quiet of the bush, healing happens. The Arctic Indigenous Wellness Foundation is celebrating 7 years in operation today. And since its opening, this camp has been helping Métis, Inuit, and Dene youth, elders, and families work through trauma, addictions, homelessness, and mental health. Located in the heart of Yellowknife, the Urban on the Land program has expanded significantly, filling in gaps using traditional practices.
It's really a nice feeling to watch our people just switch right in front of you, just by listening to their story.
That's coming up soon on APTN National News.
Welcome back. An Algonquin chief was speaking before a House of Commons committee earlier this week, voicing concerns about what a proposed nuclear waste disposal facility near Ottawa could do to the local water supply. Kibeawik First Nation Chief Lance Heyman was one of the witnesses at the Environment and Sustainable Development Committee. Earlier this year, the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission approved an above-ground nuclear waste disposal facility at Chalk River. It's about 180 kilometers northwest of Ottawa. The proposed facility still needs approval from the Environment Minister. While Kibeawik is part of a legal challenge against it, Heyman told the committee about his concerns of nuclear waste from the proposed facility seeping into the Ottawa River.
The waste is going to leak into the Ottawa River, and that is basically our complaint. Why was this site selected? We believe it's just simply a matter of convenience. In this view, it's easiest to push the waste of the perimeter to the property. In our view, it has the potential to poison our water supply and immediately destroy an old-growth forest with active bear dens and other species at risk.
This week, Northern Affairs Minister Dan Vandel attended the 23rd Arctic Energy and Resource Symposium, where he announced new funding for the Kivalliq hydro fiber line. $2.8 million will be going to the Rankin Inlet-based Newkick Corporation. The project plans to connect transmission and fiber lines from northern Manitoba to 5 Nunavut communities. It will increase connectivity and reduce reliance on diesel generators. Currently, all of Nunavut's 25 communities operate on diesel generators for power. Construction of Kivalliq Hydro, the fiber line, is expected to start in 2028, with the announced funds going towards engineering, design, and environmental fieldwork for the project. It is World Water Day, and events were taking place across the globe. In Edmonton, the Keepers of the Water, a nonprofit, and the Treaty 8 First Nations of Alberta held a day-long conference. Hundreds gathered to hear from water and environmental experts on the health of the water systems in Alberta. They report that recent drought conditions combined with large demands of fresh water for oil and gas extraction has caused water shortages and poor water quality in major water supplies. And warmer water temperatures are lowering oxygen levels and making it harder for fish to survive.
The way we understand it, that what they're saying is they're recycling water, but we haven't been given the evidence that they're even recycling water. What we do know is that Alberta is the largest oil and gas producer in the country of Canada, and all of the extraction requires fresh water use. We are in a time of drought. We're at level 4. How they are going to go to level 5, we don't know, but what we do know is that industry is using massive amounts of fresh water.
And in Winnipeg, students from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation launched a new business venture to bring attention to the fact their community sits on the same body of water that Winnipeg draws its drinking water from. The Harvey Red Sky Memorial School students traveled to the Canadian Museum for Human Rights to present their merchandise. They created water bottles and stickers to remind people their water comes from Shoal Lake. The proceeds will go to the Kikikosebi Development Corporation and Harvey Red Sky Memorial School Future Business Leaders Project. From 1997 to 2021, the Shoal Lake 40 First Nation was on a boil water advisory. In 2014, activists from the First Nation protested on the grounds of the museum to draw attention to the issue. Teacher Andrea Red Sky reflected on that protest.
Started asking people, well, where does your drinking water come from? And these were members of, people from Winnipeg. These were not new Canadians, and they had no idea. And we just thought it was really important to educate people about where their water comes from, that it flows down an aqueduct from Shoal Lake, from the lakes in Shoal Lake. And it's important for them to know that because they need to know who their neighbors are. They need to know who's taking care of that water that flows through the tap.
Pretty sweet looking water bottle. I'll have to try to get one of those. A decades-old hockey tournament has kicked off in Yukon, and it has an important new feature this year. Details on that and more after the break. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. On the road again, Keith West shared with us his early morning view as he just can't wait to get on the road again, seeing things that he may never see again. Thanks, Keith. Send your pictures to share@aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, +2 with snow in Halifax, flurries and -2 in Fredericton, -12 with snow in Kuujjuaq, flurries and 2 below in Nain, -4 in Montreal, snow and 6 below for Val-d'Or, -4 in Sault Ste. Marie, flurries and -2 in North Bay, sunny and 3 below for Thunder Bay, -8 in Sioux Lookout, -23 with snow in Churchill, 11 below in God's Lake. -6 in Winnipeg, 7 below for Dauphin, -3 in Regina, sunny, and -7 in Saskatoon, -7 for Buffalo Narrows and La Ronge. In northern Alberta, sunny and -4 in High Level, -3 and sunny for Fort McMurray. -3 with snow in Edmonton, flurries and 7 below in Lethbridge. +13 for Vancouver and Kamloops. 4 above in Prince George, sun's out and 8 in Smithers. -8 for Old Crow, +6 in Whitehorse. -8 in Yellowknife, -2 for Norman Wells. 13 below in Sax Harbor, +4 for Fort McPherson. -17 with snow in Chesterfield, 23 below in Cambridge Bay. -32 in Resolute, 22 below in Igloolik. The Yukon Native Hockey Tournament kicked off in Whitehorse Thursday. This year there's a special addition to the event, hockey commentary in the Kaska language. Our reporter Sarah Connors gives us the details.
Cool. A little storm. God, Quentin. You've probably never heard play-by-play like this before. Thanks to these elders, hockey fans are getting a special treat: hockey commentary in Casca.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big hockey fan. Been playing since I was knee-high.
Native speaker Tesloa Smith is lending his language skills for the 44th annual Yukon Native Hockey Tournament. In an effort to spread the Casca language, he's doing commentary for games with Casca teams. Today, it's the Casca Warriors against the Little Storms.
Good to come up with all these different phrase as people catch on. They understand it better than what their phrases are.
Smith has a deep-rooted love for the sport. He says it was one of his only means of escape while attending residential school in northern BC.
I think that's what saved a lot of us, anyway, as hockey players, to get away from whatever to play hockey on ice.
As some of the last fluent speakers, elders are happy to pass on the language any way they can, even if it's just a word or two.
We call it a puck robus. That's the words we came up with. Robus is because we don't have any word for in our language for the goalie. We call it Mugada. We say Tamil Gada is watching guarding the net. When you score, you say Quetzet. So that if you pass that goalie, goes in the net, we say Quetzet Lobus, Quetzet. We say
The event is being live streamed and broadcast on Shoal FM radio, so speakers from Casca communities can tune in. Young Casca language learners like Paul Caesar Jules are helping with live streaming and technical support.
You can really see the enthusiasm when they speak. Like I could hear Tesloa talk, and it's just really awesome to understand what he's saying and what's happening.
Smith says events like these are helping keep the language alive.
Well, it took a lot of courage, I think, for people like myself and other elders who are now in a position where they can begin to speak Casca and bring it back, and slowly it's been coming back and enjoying the language,
The Yukon Native Hockey Tournament wraps up Sunday. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Awesome stuff. Big turnouts by the looks of it there. Canada's Drag Race Season 4 is now over, and the winner has been busy since taking the title. Here's APTN's Tina House with Venus.
Thank you. We're so excited to be here with Venus, Canada's Drag Race Season 4 winner. Venus, congratulations on winning the show.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. We're having an amazing Two-Spirit celebration here in Vancouver. And yeah, I'm just very, very grateful to be sharing this space.
You're the first Indigenous winner on the show, is that correct?
Yes, on the Canadian franchise. So this is a moment that has been, been leading up to. There's been some incredible Indigenous talent on the Canadian show so far. So getting to have this moment, share it with my Drag Race sisters is just such a milestone for me.
You're Métis from Manitoba.
Yeah.
Tell me what the experience of growing up there and now living here in Vancouver.
So my father's family is from there. I was born and raised here, but I always say that my spirit has grown in Manitoba. I have so many memories of being there. And I guess the biggest thing is just that is, that's where I feel like my spirit belongs. Whereas, my career and the glamour belongs in the big city. But when I get to go visit my family back there, that is where I feel the most at ease. And this is such a moment for my family that lives in the bush out there, and they're seeing me on TV for the first time. So yeah, it's super cool.
That's super exciting. You're going to be performing tonight at the event.
Yeah.
So tell me about what you're doing.
Well, I might perform the finale song from the show, which I haven't performed since we filmed it. So that's really exciting. I'm a very last minute kind of queen. So there's a couple ideas, but I'm going to just do something that feels right for me.
Amazing. some advice now for some of those that are out there that are struggling with their identity and how to break through that barrier?
I would say, it's a knowingness that it comes with time. It's not easy. Depends on where you're at with your journey, but don't dim that light, because that light is what people are drawn to. That is something that is going to make you so successful and unique, and ultimately hiding that part of yourself is going to just do more harm than good, obviously depending on the situation that you are in. But know that for me, it took a while to find my community, but once that happened, every single door opened, doors that I never even imagined in my life before, doors that I never even knew that were there. So foster that part of yourself, and even if you have to, sometimes do it behind those closed doors to be safe and so on, do that. But keep that spirit alive.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Venus. So nice to meet you. Congratulations on winning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you in studio.
To some sweet news now, or maybe not so sweet. Ontario has had an unseasonably warm winter, and that's taking a uniquely Canadian toll on one particular industry, the maple syrup production. The season usually starts early March and goes into April for about 6 weeks. This year, though, farmers say the timing has shifted, starting earlier and not lasting very long. The industry relies on freezing overnight temperatures that warm the following day around a high of 5 degrees and a low of -4. Only 3% of Canada's maple syrup production comes from Ontario, but it is the country's third largest producer. So no need to start hoarding maple syrup just yet then. That is all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Friday. You can find much more on anything you've seen here over on our website. That's aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Marcy Miigwech, thanks for being with us. Have a great night.